start, the 3 or 4 things I have to tell you won't take very long. I told you that I would tell you the 3 best market areas in Houston. I'll tell you how I got that if you want to know. But I'll tell you the 3 best market areas in Houston. I'll tell you
louder.
I'll tell you the #1 trend in residential deal structuring and what you're going to see happening from that in 2014. I'll tell you the #1 deal structuring in commercial, and I'll tell you the #1 killer of deals in 2014. Why your deals won't go forward. What will kill most of your deals in 2014. Which one do you? What do you want? What area do you want to start with? And I don't mean any offense to any of you who are real estate brokers or realtors. I don't want you to think I'm talking in a turn by saying things that you think I might not know. Everything I'm talking about is just from my research, so it's just my opinion. I've been wrong before, and you should always seek the advice of paid financial advisors before you invest. So, say again? So let me tell you the 3 top areas. We'll start with that. That was the first thing I said I would share. And let me just share before I tell you a little bit about how we came up with the criteria. To me, something I learned from Ray Sasser about 5 or 10 years ago, was that days on market is one of the most important criteria that you can look at in an area, and you have to weight that differently than you're going to weight other criteria. Because you could have great appreciation. There's great appreciation in River Oaks. However, the properties do not trade as fast. And that matters because time is money. Since time is money, any days on market can be a critical factor. So I use about 6 to 8 criteria, and I weight them up to 100% as being most important. And for me, days on market is the #1 if I'm going to be a typical flipping investor. There's a different criteria if you're going to be a landlord because you don't care how fast properties sell. That's different. And for what you're looking for that, in my opinion, is rental absorption. Like how fast those properties rent is my next concern. So it's the other days on market. Yeah, how long will it take to get this property rented? So I weigh that also heavily because a vacant property is very expensive to me. I'd rather go in a neighborhood where I may be making a little bit less, but I have it rented immediately. Or before I close, potentially. You can market a property for sale if you do it contractually before you close. So well, you can market it even before you close with no one's permission, but you can show the property and market it and put signage out under if you have an agreement. So these areas are not rental areas. These are flip areas. Where there's opportunity to buy property and resell. And again, this is what I do is lend for a living, so I'm looking at different risks maybe than somebody who's looking at construction costs or traffic issues, things like that. I'm not looking at the same thing other people are looking at. I'm looking as a lender, where am I going to be safest, allowing someone to borrow money from Zeus Bank to buy and flip a property where we know they're going to win, so we don't have to subsidize them and try and win. And here are the 3 areas. And the first one is what John and Pat already said, which is east of downtown in Pasadena. I consider that whole area the same thing. And it is if you look at the factors, it's the hottest area. It is the #1 area. I was going to say it's the last. Spoiler alert. It was going to be the 3rd one, but to me, it's east of downtown. The amount of people around Dynamo Stadium who are looking to spend money in Houston. Now, again, I consider Pasadena the same thing because they meet very similar criteria. They have older housing, 50s or older. And here's the other criteria that is kind of a plug on my part. So don't worry, this is 10% of the criteria. What is the popularity of the area? That area, Pasadena and east of downtown, have been spoken about for the last 2 or 3 years. Now, a lot of investors, most of you here, because you've been around for a long time, have heard about the areas, but you haven't gone. You're afraid to go there. because it's so, the gentrification and the transitions have just started. Now we're 3 or 4 years into that, and if you drive in those areas, you can see new homes, new construction, new business, new activity, new jobs, all the criteria. If you look at job creation in Houston, I can't remember the number exactly, but it's over 50% of job creation from new residents that's happening. You have a split between the Woodlands and projected jobs in 2014 and Pasadena east of downtown, where people are going to be migrating in 2014. And jobs means real estate. They need places to live. That's number one.
When you say east of downtown, is that inside the loop or outside?
Both, because I talk about Pasadena, but inside is where Dynamo is east of downtown. So and inside the belt is you can see the amount of builders who purchase lots there. If you look on HCAD and just look at the amount of builders who are purchasing lots there right now, that means they're going to, the building machine is back. So I know that you know from your neighborhoods are driving, the new home construction machine is rolling, and they're going to get those houses up in no time. That means any older houses are going to rise in value. New construction is around your house is bad, except when new construction rises the property value of your property. It's not bad to have a new home right next to yours. Where people get that myth, especially in the rich club, is when homes are medium priced. Because if you buy a home that's only 5 or 6 years old, you can't compete with the new home sale when you try to sell it, right? Because why would you want to buy a 5-year-old house when you can buy a brand new one? The problem, or not the problem, the cool thing about East Downtown Pasadena is there is no middle ground. You're going to buy very old and very cheap and very old, or brand new, which means the price on the bottom is going to rise. They're going to raise the price for you. They can't afford to sell the price. They can't afford to sell a 3-2 1950s brick house in east of downtown. You're going to be able to buy that property for $60,000. They're going to have to build that house. It's going to cost them $75,000, $60,000, which plus their machine's going to put in there $5,000. I'm talking about 1,200, 1,400 square foot houses and 1,000 square foot houses. By the way, one other thing that I like about east of downtown, the housing that's there in Pasadena is it still works on 10-year notes if you get the right rent, and the rent will increase there. It's moving. If you just look at HAR's reports on market area, you're going to see HAR is going to show you that rents are increasing there. So you can still buy property and have on 10-year notes. And in the blink of an eye, you will have free clear property. 10 years. Think about where you were 10 years ago. I know you're in a lot different place than you were, but 10 years flies by. If you have kids, we got young kids. I mean, my daughter's 6 already. I remember driving home from the hospital. I put my hand on her every night to stop growing. So she's 6. In 4 years, she'll be 10. They're women. So, go ahead.
Where do you find out where the jobs are being done?
Houston Chronicle, Chron.com is a great report. They'll talk about that. Stewart Title does their financial forecast. I mean, there's so many people who are forecasting job creation. The Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas will issue reports on job creation in Houston. Lots of places. Lots. I mean, there's tons of information about that. Second area is not quite, it's more obvious and not quite as sexy, is going to be Conroe, and I know I'm not the first person to say that, but with the Exxon migration happening, Conroe has become an exceptionally hot commodity. And then the third area, which is also obvious, is spring, but I need to distinguish something for you on spring. Spring has been declining for a long time. Many of you who have been investors there, you know, the values have not held strong. The rents have not held strong. A lot of investors think they're getting a great deal. Just because someone's selling something cheap doesn't mean it's a good deal. There might be a reason why they're selling those properties. I'm not talking about all spring. I'm talking about the track between the Woodlands and spring. No one who works for Exxon is going to move south of Spring. If they are, they're going to move in town. They're already dealing with the traffic. They're going to deal with everything else. Why would they move there if they're not going to? If if they can afford to live south of Spring, and they're going to move all the way down in town and make the commute. It's just no difference. 10 minutes difference. Yeah, so we're going to live in South Spring, we're going to live in Houston. We're going to live in Houston for a 10-minute extra drive. So I see a lot of investors are making a mistake, I think, of buying in South Spring. I think you're making a mistake. They're deals for a reason. And the properties are being inflated because so many people are migrating there, but the jobs aren't coming to South Spring, they're coming to the Woodlands. How many of you have seen the new exit construction? I encourage you to drive by on 45 and just go 45 north and look to your left. You'll get goosebumps, or whatever you get. You will be inspired when you are driving up 45 and you look to the left, right up before about, is it Ringford Salt? What's that? Is that the Yeah, first of all, they're building the Harding Toll. I guess it's an excellent expressway. They're literally building right next to it. And if you look to the left and see what they're doing, it looks like if you imagine a movie, those of you who haven't seen it, I'm trying to create the picture, but if you haven't seen it, you know what I'm talking about. You've been there the last 6 months. It looks like what would happen if we were hit by an atomic bomb and they had to rebuild a downtown. That's how many cranes are in the sky close to each other. It looks spectacular. I mean, it looks like a ton of development happening in one little pocket. And it's going to bring a lot of people, and those people are going to live north of there, i.e. Conroe, the Woodlands, and North Spring. So North Spring, to me, because Conroe's all limited space, you have to be careful. But North Spring, I think, is still a gold mine. Those are the 3 hot areas in 2014. Can I go to the next thing, or do you want me to answer questions? Okay, the next item was the #1 trend in residential financing. You're not going to like this one. Not residential financing, residential deal structure, sorry. This is the one you're probably not going to like. You want to eat your vegetables first, or do you want to jump to dessert? Okay. Okay, rip the Band-Aid off. It's that if you look at the amount of data that shows that REITs and institutional money that's being spent on residential housing, and you couple that with the comfort level that has now come up with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae or HUD, and the 3 big banks, 4 big banks, sorry. When you couple that with how much REIT activity has happened and pension fund activity that's happened in the last 2 years, see, Fannie Mae wasn't comfortable before selling large pools unless they were selling to a gigantic player. But if you aren't familiar, Fannie Mae does have their pooling system now where you can go in and buy their pools of foreclosures that they pool together. They pool them randomly. And you can be on their list and you can attend their approval, fulfill their approval process and buy properties from them in bulk. So you can buy a 10 property bulk package, 100, etc. Bank of America, according to a report less than 2 weeks ago, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, and Citi all have still $54 billion in homes they've not foreclosed on. What I predict will happen, based on if you look at the volume of houses being sold and who's buying them, they're going to be sold to REITs, pension funds, and large institutional investors, not you. The biggest trend is going to be that they're now Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are comfortable now selling 100-unit properties to someone they've never met before who represents a REIT, a small REIT. And so that's where all residential purchasing is. As long as they've got the money to deliver and they've been vetted. See, before they were vetted, they didn't have the money. But so many of them are performing, and now they have a vetting process verifying that they're capable of closing. They're comfortable. So they're not going to market, they're not going to sell property on the open market because they don't need to. They have a secondary, or a, what would you call that? Yeah, they have an alternative market. They don't have to sell it to us. They can, try to join a REIT or create one, or become. What can you do about it? It's a great question.
Steve, are they going to be selling notes?
Oh no, they're still on the properties. No, on the ones that they are foreclosing. The ones that they're taking back They're selling. Fannie Mae has foreclosed on them.
What percentage do you think will be buying a foreclosure?
They're buying.
Yeah, I mean, it's a public auction. What percent of what they're foreclosing
I
is
think
going back to Fannie Mae?
I don't know the number, but you can just predict. We can look that up, but it's a good number.
I mean, that's where we would have to buy it, is at foreclosure.
Yeah, but it's a majority of them. Meaning a majority of them are coming back.
Right.
And so the minority, the courthouse, going downtown that Tuesday, you've been there probably. It's competitive, and so I don't see that. I don't see that as the opportunity of growing. I think you need pre-foreclosure strategies in my opinion. Yeah, pre-foreclosures is still the way to. You have to beat that because now you have a gigantic competitor who has never been in the space before. But also, some of you are capable of going to Fannie Mae and Freddie and getting on that approval list. I have a friend who is a real estate agent, and he's in Arlington. He just was able to buy 12 properties. 3 of them are in Texas, the rest are not. But he made his bid with Fannie, and he won the bid. And according to him, he got for that 50 cents on the dollar. So we'll see if they turn out. I don't know. I didn't ask. They're not going to finance. No, they're definitely not financing. Well, I don't know. He delivered cash. I don't know where the source of the funds was. Is what I thought. But yeah, you have to deliver cash. There's no owner financing for Fannie Mae probably. But it could be the future. Who knows? They want to sell them even faster. That's what they're like. So how you take advantage of it, Debbie, is I think you go. If you look to buy properties in bigger pools, and you go to them and buying them one at a time, not buying properties one at a time, but you buy them in a pool.
Also, an out-of-state guy picked up 3 houses in Texas. They not really want to come out here to rehab. He makes one case out of
I think there's a lot of, John's point is awesome. You're going to have that guy, how I met him, he asked me for a referral. I knew through someone else, he asked me for a referral of someone who does, what's the winter thing? Winterizing. He wanted someone to do winterizing for him in other states. He called me for that, and I gave him someone I had heard that does that. So that's the opportunity. He's looking to partner with them in other states. You could become the partner who handles that interstate. I don't, or buying them from them could be the next opportunity. If he did really buy them at 50 cents on the dollar, you can give him an assignment fee now to be done with it. Give me 55 cents on the dollar, and I'll take it over, or I'll give you 55. You make your fast money. Be gone. And that's another opportunity to mortgage. Problem with Fannie Mae, I'll bet you can probably get access to it for someone too. Not through the big banks, but through Fannie and Freddie, you can get access to that. I'm sure that's public record somewhere. Chuck can help you figure that out. I know he can probably figure it out. And it just affects wholesalers where there's just not as many deals. But that's already going on now.
Can you use hard money for big bulks like that?
Not through the normal players that are here.
You gotta have total cash, your own cash.
You're going to have definitely some of your cash or some of the cash lined up. So you could see, I'm basically saying the trend is syndication. The trend is grouping together people to buy in bulk. That's the trend.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Awesome. That's a commercial. And if you're interested in commercial at all, so this is John's a commercial guru, and so I'm speaking out of his term when I say this. But again, this is just my opinion from my research. Okay, I think the biggest trend in commercial deal structuring is option buying, or actually you can say option selling, is another way to say it, where property is being controlled with options, where they're not taking over the property itself, they're just willing to bet a little bit of money at risk to take over this building. I want to take this building over, I'm going to sign an option to take it over. I may or may not do it, but I want the option to do it if I want to. And then taking over this strip center and the strip center at an apartment across the street, because I'm going to tear it all down when I find a buyer. And you know the term, some of you, simultaneous close in residential? That is really coming to play in commercial. commercial. And it's now that it has worked for really big, gigantic players, it's coming down to the little guys. You just do it. It's coming to little guys like us, where we can now do that, because the big guys hadn't done that for a long time. You know, we have John owns this building. I have a handshake. Hey, I might just be able to buy this building. I'm not sure yet, but I might be able to buy it. Do you agree that if I get someone, that you're going to sell it to me at this price? Yes. So maybe it's a handshake, but most likely it's going to be I have to pay him to agree to that. And I pay him an option to not do anything with the property without buying me and buying my option back out. He agrees. Well, then I go and look to what I can do for this property, including reselling it. And I get paid in a simultaneous close type situation. I believe that's going to be the biggest trend. To people who've already been in the commercial space, not dabbling in it, but have already been and know the market, guys like John, who already know what to do, they're going to be controlling property that way in 2014.
So what happens when the money you put down for an option comes into
You lose it. You lose it. That's why it won't work for just the person dabbling. I don't know what I'm doing. But someone like him, he knows what he's doing. I can do something. I can find someone to buy this. But I don't want to put my own money up right now. I'm too busy. Let me just control that right now. Pay a little bit more for an option. I'll control it. Not put up much money. Then go find somebody else who's going to buy it. Buy me out. And close those. Because there's been so many of those deals in the press for medium-sized players, I believe that you're going to see little guys like us take on that, doing that. I think duration-wise, you have to have years, honestly, because you have to find someone else to do the deal, and they have the right to buy you out of the option. That's how you get your money back. It's like, so he's not going to tie up, well, I'm not going to tie up this building to him for 10 grand until he finds someone 2 years to buy it. I have to go to pay him back if I was now. But at least I know in our relationship I have something tied up. I may write in there I have first right of refusal, so that he can't sell the property without me, or he can't, I can't, I'm on his side, so I can't, it's easy for me to talk about that. Hold on. Chuck owns this building. Chuck owns this building. I pay him $10,000 for the option on this building, this complex. He agreed to sell if I agree with $1 million what he bought. Yes, $1 million is my number. Good, I'll pay you $10,000 option money. I'll want a 2-year option. If he sells the property, if he wants to buy me out, no problem. He can pay me back my money. So I can't stop him, and I wouldn't want to, but that's the only way he's going to do it anyway. But I want a first right of refusal on what he does sell it for. That survives the termination of the option. So if he finds to sell it to Debbie for 1.1, he has to sell it to me to 1.1 first. And then I go find Tim. Tim likes the building, and Tim wants it for 1.5. And now I do a simultaneous close basically to get that in. You have none of the regulations that you do with residential property. You have none of the title issues that you do with residential property, with all of that. All of the reasons why simultaneous closes have to be so under the radar in residential are all gone because you don't have any of the regulations in commercial. Yep. Potentially. It's up to you. Oh, what I read was that he's safe out, but I have first right of refusal to make him do it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's whatever. It's he's saying no. Listen to him. I'm in theory. He's in practice. So he's saying no. You can't buy it out. Well, he wouldn't do it. I think that if I wanted someone to convince someone to do it, I'd let them.
He wouldn't give up 10 grand. He still have control. He might give up $1,000. He still had control. You're going to continue to control that. And then you come back and you say, John, what can we do with this? And we say, well, we showcase cheap dealers there. And I know that we can put some larger stores in here. Talk Highland and see if we can expand.
That's supposed to be named dropping. I don't know anything. Yeah, exactly right.
What would you guess a reasonable option payment would be for a couple $1 million property?
How many millions?
2 or 3.
I'd start by looking at what interest is on that property, what's its carry cost. So if a $3 million property costs you 8% a year, or $24,000, I'd kind of say you get to give me that carry cost. You still get the interest, right? So that's kind of the way I start.
I would go somewhere different, in my opinion. I would look at what they, how hot the property is. If I need it under control, I'm going to pay. If I don't, and I'm not, this property doesn't need to be under control. Not too many people probably knocking on his door for this building. So I could probably get away with a lot less.
10, 20, 30, somewhere.
For $2 million? I think 20 is probably the bare minimum. I don't know, John's better, he's practiced. I don't know, that's probably the bare minimum. But I think also if you're dealing with less sophisticated sellers and the price you're talking about, it's a lot easier. Also depends on if it's land. I mean, if we're just talking about land, which is where the transactions in 2013 where they happened, a lot of times were land. So there wasn't a lot of pressure, a lot of duress. They knew it was sitting there. You start looking at property tax, like he's talking about the carrying cost, looking at their annual property tax. I'll cover the taxes for the option. I'm going to buy this at this on price. See how that's pretty appealing. There's no cost to you to let me have this on contract. And the big deals that got a lot of publicity in this way in 2013 were mainly land, but hot land, valuable, and the investors who got in the middle of it never put anything out of his pocket in the option and made lots of money on the deal. Because what he did, the one in particular, what he did was he got the land. Imagine, there's a lot on the corner of 610 and 50. There's a lot of post open 610. This isn't the example, but some of you might know where that is, post open 610. There's a lot that's on the corner there. Imagine taking that over under an option and also going to the next owner and taking that over. See, that lot is so small, it's hard to do something with it. But there's a lot of property around it that would be paid, you'd have to pay a fee, which you could. And then you find someone who wants big space and wants that type of exposure. And there are a lot of people who only need one other tract behind it to the right to have for a pretty large building. And that's a great location for a building. And a lot of multinational organizations want a building right there in the Galleria that section. So you would put it under option cost, a good amount, but your payout, we're talking significant payout. Because you've already done the work that they couldn't do. Okay, I don't know if I'm out of time or what I should say, or oh, the number one deal killer. Someone deal killer. Well, in a rising market, the deal killer is it's always. So when I tell you this next year, you have to act like you've never heard this before. So before I tell you, is that a deal? That in a rising market, the deal killer is always going to be the value of the property. So you're going to lose deals if you're getting any sort of financing because of the value. Because the value is always retroactive or in arrears. Values are always assessed looking back, not looking forward. Now, when the market's changing the other direction, here's the problem. You're going to end up paying too much. So in 2015, when we're talking about the little recession we're in, I'm going to say the number one killer of deals is that you're going to pay too much, because by the time you pay for the property or contract the property in 30 days, close to 30 days, the property is already going to be worth less than what you option to buy it for because it's declining. I know that went fast, but I can answer your question if you Right now, it's going to be that appraisal values won't match what you're paying, and it's going to kill your financing. They do, but there was 14% appreciation in 2013 in Houston. Their limit's 10% typically, if they'll take it. So you just lost. Right? I mean, if you're paying, if you've got properties that it doesn't cover. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much.
Thank you.